Before I hand over to Amor, here's a quick video of all that's happening in the Philippines.
Digital Filipinas is the largest private sector-led movement to build an ecosystem for innovation and technology for the country. And our hope is to not just take on some of the largest problems of the Philippines that are addressable with technology, but collectively to raise our innovation quotient as a country. We are experiencing a technology renaissance here in the Philippines, where the best and brightest from all over the world are actually choosing to domicile themselves here in the Philippines. Now what we're seeing is an influx of global technology talents choosing to headquarter themselves here in the Philippines because we have the greatest talent for it. We have a killer ecosystem, the most enabling regulators. So the formula for success to build a great technology business is here in the Philippines.
Digital Filipinas as a movement represents the most expansive, industry-driven effort to bring together the champions of emerging technologies with the business leaders who are committed to transforming the landscape. It is our honor and privilege to once again co-convene Digital Filipinas. Let the world feel the excitement as our nation becomes a center for innovation.
This year, we have 4 priority areas. Number 1 is MSME digitalization and e-commerce. The ultimate objective is to be able to trade in trust and in confidence outside of your traditional borders. All of the technological advancements that we are experiencing right now is really intended to create more cross-border cooperation. Digital Filipinas is the channel partner of Proxera, the global procurement arm of the MAS that is intended to create a safe space for entrepreneurs from all over the world to be able to trade in security and in trust. As a pioneer in e-commerce in electronics, my vision is to see every Filipino household having a gadget purchased from Kim's store. We share the same goal with Digital Filipinas, pursuing the same mission, gathering talented individuals who can make a change and putting Philippines in the center of innovation.
The Philippine e-commerce market is forecasted to be the fastest growing e-commerce market globally this year, growing by more than 25%. That has created a very dynamic part of the economy. It's powered by the marketplaces, shop platforms, powered by a whole network of enablers, by a whole community, and the whole industry that is developing there to support e-commerce. And Digital Filipinas is bringing together a lot of those ecosystem stakeholders, and as such, I'm very glad to be part of the Digital Filipinas movement that helps to develop this vibrant industry in the Philippines.
The second work stream that we're championing in Digital Filipinas is the creation of an API-led economy. We're looking at launching an API marketplace that would allow for continuous innovation and continued connection between businesses and organizations here in the Philippines.
An API-led economy is about unbundling products so that customers can access what they want, when they want it, at a competitive price. They can use APIs, connect to a startup that's specifically serving that community. And that's the power of the API-led economy. It allows the product and the providers and the users who are receiving and benefiting from that product to connect in ways they couldn't before.
Financial inclusion is ensuring that we make financial services accessible and affordable to every individual and business in the country. It also allows us to educate and promote discovery on their own and assist them with the right services anywhere they are and anytime they need it. The third work stream that we're championing in Digital Filipinas is all about micro education and micro certification. The way we look at education has tremendously changed throughout the years. No longer are kids committed to take a 4, 6, 7-year course in university, and instead they're focusing on technological skills that are snackable and easy to acquire, immediately certifiable, and with your credential shifters to be able to experience several corporations in 1 year, so that by the time that they graduate from the internship or the fellowship program, they are Web 3.0 ready.
We have to embrace the idea of micro credentials, micro certifications, or even micro degrees. What it is really is learning less things and learning things faster. What we need to do together with Digital Filipinas is create that bridge that will address the skills gap in this new economy, from what skills you have now and what you need to do to get the skills you need tomorrow.
So the way we see EdTech is really to solve not just one or two pain points, but really solve most of the pain points of the entire ecosystem. And that's really by pushing for digital learning and helping both not just the students and their parents, but also the teachers, the schools, and all the institutions like government and corporates that are working towards independent, well-trained, successful citizenry that can get the jobs and the careers that they want. Embracing digital opportunities requires developing new digital skills. There's no question about it. This means empowering learning, supporting public policies for reskilling, and encouraging continuous improvements in that area. As we consider the challenges facing the world today, we at Microsoft acknowledge the enormous responsibility we have to ensure that the technology we are building benefits everyone around us. And it has to be in line with our mission, which is to empower every person and every organization on the planet.
And last but not the least is, of course, FinTech, which is the fuel that fires all of these industries. We look at FinTech not so much as a vertical, but rather a horizontal that powers various industries. During the pandemic, everyone talked about the dramatic increase in digitalization and also in digital transformation. A lot of what precipitated that was actually the movement of money. And the movement of money in those various verticals was brought about by FinTech. In our case, we will ensure that FinTech will continue to not just energize, but revitalize legacy industries for the country.
We have also a basis by which, I used the word laymanize earlier, but by which you can laymanize application of technology. You understand the fact that you can only do so much relative to educating or telling or basically increasing the level of financial literacy of people. So there can be an approach where it can be hybrid. There can be an approach by which we can be more patient about people not adapting immediately. What FinTech did is they proved that the minimum digital hygiene of 24/7 accessibility, Six Sigma reliability, real-time transactions, safe and secure was very possible. The use of mobiles and other devices allowed those services to be self-service in many ways. So that basically increased the accessibility of financial services to a broader set of the population. We recognize that not one company can make finance for all happen. We believe in the power of collaboration and how we could help the country. This will help us in the desire to empower communities, because even the tiniest contribution adds up and has a snowball effect to create meaningful waves of impact in the country today.
Digital Filipinas has been one of the strongest advocates for the use of technology in multiple industries in Philippines. Now, for Philippines to be the center of cryptocurrency and blockchain, it's important that there are macro policies created that incentivizes companies to invest in Philippines. Secondly, the understanding of blockchain ecosystem and cryptocurrencies is included in education systems. And last but not the least, the research and development around this technology is incentivized.
The right timing, the right ingredients are all in place. We can truly start the beginning of our road to a digital Philippines. Let's all build a cyber-secure digital Philippines.
Together, let's build a digital Filipinas through open finance,
Through e-commerce,
Through EdTech.
FinTech,
mabuhay ang digital Philippines.
mabuhay.
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 Let's build a digital Filipinas together.
Hello, thank you so much, everyone. I just wanted to double check if my audio is coming in clearly.
Yes, Amor, we
Quick
can
thumbs
hear
up.
you. We can hear you.
Excellent.
And that video was very inspiring. We're just ready to understand what's happening in the fintech sector in the Philippines. Please take us through
No,
this.
absolutely. And what better way, like I shared to our friends in 𝐓𝐡𝐞, what better way to get a quick snapshot on the nascent trends in fintech happening in the Philippines than to hear it straight from the players themselves. So just a little bit of background. I wear a couple of hats for today. So aside from leading FinTech Philippines Association and also as convener of Digital Filipinas, I've recently been appointed as the chair of the Global Impact FinTech, which is the largest think tank of all ASEAN-based FinTech associations. And we're here not just to share with you what's happening in the Philippines, but also the Philippines in relation to the rest of the world. So admittedly, many of our runways follow an ASEAN roadmap. And what do we mean by that? There are three very strong pillars towards our fintech journey in 2022 and beyond. First and foremost is, of course, the support of SME digitalization. And we'll get to talk to you a little bit more about that later. In June of this year, the Philippines is joining and is actually proudly the only, is one of 4 country pilots in launching the SME Financial Education Program together with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, together with India, and also the government of Ghana. A second important pillar for us, and I believe that our one of our panelists, Jerome, will be able to help us talk about this more, is our move towards open finance, also at the same time empowering everyone with an API to be truly plugged in to a digital economy. Mike Calma will be speaking later about how we're really very much advanced in the AI narrative, and that AI is not a technology of tomorrow, but rather a technology of today. And regardless of your size, as an organization, you can actually use this to achieve hyper growth and also at the same time keep your businesses secure. Last but not the least, one of the very important verticals that's powered by fintech is insurtech and health tech. And we have none other than the president of the Philippine Life Insurance Association in the country, Mr. Rico Bautista, representing the Pan-ASEAN insurer Etiqa, to talk about the small, I put it in terms of quotes, the small proof of concepts with regards to insurtech, which is admittedly at its nascent stage. I think for starters, I'd like to ask all the gentlemen in the panel to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about what's keeping them busy, and then straight into the panel discussion. Why don't we start with you, Mike? Over to you.
Thank you,
ADVANCE.AI.
Amor. Yeah, so I'm Mike Calma. I've been in tech for all of my career. So let me talk about our group first. We're a 6-year-old double unicorn headquartered in Singapore, and we pride ourselves as diligent students of the evolving customer journeys of financial services customers. You see, it's very focused to financial industry because every day we work on making this journey inclusive, frictionless, and secure using artificial intelligence. Late last year, we closed our Series D round, and it's worth 400 million, led by Warburg Pincus Vision Fund 2. Now, with all of this funding, there's a lot of pressure for us to deliver, grow aggressively, and serve the needs of our customers, especially here in the Philippines. Over to you, Amor. Thank you.
Thank you. So within Digital Filipinas, we now have 3 unicorns with us. So Sendit, Gcash, and of course, ADVANCE.AI, which is a double unicorn. Thank you. Next up, hi, Jerome, calling in from Shanghai. So Jerome is an honorary Filipino and will talk to us about how we are the biggest gigster economy in the world and what Smile is doing in that regard.
Yeah, salamat. Yeah, so thank you so much, first of all, Amor, to have us on again. And yeah, well, what we are facing right now in Southeast Asia really is a lack of credit history. And there's a lot of people that actually have so-called thin file and employment data in the case of Smile is highly valuable, but it is super fragmented. So this kind of information that is usually used to originate credit is in your employment account, in your payroll account, in gig accounts. And so basically at Smile, what we believe is that this data or access to this data is your basic right. It's your data. And it's also, this thesis is not just ours. We just don't believe that this is right. It's also supported by the regulator. So the next step for us is really, we work relentlessly to essentially make access to this to this data, create this data, and therefore we built a Smile API for financial services, for credit origination, for risk managers, to really understand better from an employment point of view what their customers are up to and whether they should give them credit or not. So this is essentially what we do. And we're having, you know, a fantastic ecosystem in the Philippines that's growing, and your team, Amor, and you know, so many other people in the ecosystem have been incredibly supportive thus far. And on the side, I just have to say we're having a lot of fun. It's really great to start a business. I mean, these times are always challenging, but at the same time, we also see that there is a fantastic market for this. It's really needed. And yeah, it's an exciting journey.
Thank you. And hope you're doing well over in Shanghai and slowly opening up. Thank you. Rico.
We got enough food. Thank you.
Yes, Rico, thank you so much for joining us. And as one of the most aggressive players in the space, making ripples, and not just insurance.
Amor.
Hi, Rico. Thank you.
Hi. Good afternoon, Amor, and good afternoon, everybody. And pardon me if my internet is sometimes spotty because I'm here in an island in the Philippines called Boracay. So I hope that you know, my internet connection will hold me up until the end. But just to reintroduce myself, just like what Amor has mentioned, I'm Rico Bautista. I'm currently the president of the Philippine Life Insurance Association for this year, which is really the association of all the life insurance companies in our country. But also, I am the president and CEO of Etiqa Philippines. Etiqa Philippines is the insurance arm of Maybank. And we are driven by our vision and purpose as a company. Our vision is that we are a leading ASEAN insurer in the Philippines. And that's who we are. And that's really the claim that we have as far as we are concerned. Our purpose is that we are a life, health, and non-life insurance company that aims to make the Philippines a better place. And really, we would want to make sure that all the products that we offer will allow Filipinos and the entire Philippines to become a better place to live in. You know, insurance traditionally has been offered by agents and agencies, and that is actually something very good. So it's something that still is very much dominant, not only in the Philippines, but in the entire Asia. But this pandemic has allowed us, or maybe people sought for more ways to be able to avail of insurance policies, whether life or non-life, especially during the times of lockdown and people cannot really go out. And we have thought in Etiqa Philippines to make our products available in the market via online and other platforms that, again, will allow us to reach our customers even more. So we have actually have a place in our own website where we are able to distribute our medical insurance product, our auto insurance product, our travel insurance, our property insurance, and even what we call it in the Philippines, the comprehensive third-party liability, which is a requirement when you are registering your auto or your motor vehicle. So, and we have that in place. But aside from what we have done internally, we have partnered as well with other insurtech organizations to be able to distribute our products. And we have partnered with 𝐓𝐡𝐞 and mainly to distribute 2 or 3 non-life products, and they are very apt and very up-to-date products that we have, because we are able to distribute mobile insurance or cell phone insurance, and it's available via Shopee and via GCash. And also we are distributing via 𝐓𝐡𝐞 and via Shopee our gadget insurance or even appliance insurance. So we have seen really an opportunity for us to be able to go in that insurtech space and even the fintech space here in the Philippines. Thank you, Amor.
Thank you very much. Let's get this show started. Jerome, I'd like to start with you. I know that your company has its eyes on the Philippines. And aside from what we talked about in terms of the enormous opportunity in the gigster economy, why do you think our most foreign interested to domicile here, such a fintech haven? Jerome, can you hear me?
Hi, Amor. Yeah, you were breaking off, but if I may summarize, what do I think why the Philippines is interesting for fintech?
Yes, exactly. You've seen,
Okay.
We have all seen a reverse diaspora of some of the best and brightest globally choosing to move and domicile themselves here in the Philippines, like yourself, right?
Yeah,
Why do you think that's so?
Well, I can read in the press and I can extrapolate from our own decision making. I believe the Philippines first and foremost is an easy access because very international. Everybody speaks English. That does not apply to all the countries. See, I'm based in China right now. I do speak Mandarin. This is relatively easy for me to get along. But if a foreigner wanted to come to China or to Japan or to any other Asian country, basically would be language barriers. So that's point one. I think the second one is, although I've had lots of discussions with customers pre-election, see what happens after the election. I think overall, if we look at the regulatory space, the Philippines is pretty much sophisticated and relatively stable when it comes to supporting the economy. So that's another very important point for financial regulation, especially when we look at what's happening in like in China and other legislations, where you see what you don't necessarily have this regulatory stability. And last but not least, I think having Singapore basically being the hub for Southeast Asia and so much money flowing into the space for a lot of the companies that are registered in Singapore actually use this as a hub, and then the Philippines is just like has this huge population and is really just so interesting to consider as a market. So a lot of that capital that actually flows into Singapore is whether it's marketing, whether it is like working into development of interesting new products flowing into the Philippines as well. Along the lines there are other countries, but I think certainly the Philippines for these 3 points highly interesting.
Thank you so much, Jerome. Mike, everyone's been very excited about the introduction of ADVANCE.AI and also the potential that AI brings to the market. Like I said in my opening, many companies look to it as a very esoteric technology that can be accessed tomorrow. But you're telling me that actually a lot of use cases in AI are already happening today.
Definitely, Amor. And I'd like to focus on the first point of AI being inclusive, because our focus as a company is making our technology accessible. Towards this end, we trained our AI models to really recognize images captured by low-resolution cameras. And I'm talking in the context of customer onboarding, eKYC, while still maintaining that very accurate result above 99%. So to us, we'd like to empower the vast majority of our unbanked and underbanked here in the Philippines, which is 90+% of the population, because all they have is this low-end smartphone, right? And needless to say, I think this opens up a lot of opportunities for enterprises wanting to serve this market. The other trend that we're looking at is customer acquisition, especially if we look at our new fintechs, for example. Because to acquire new customers quickly, a lot of financial institutions will usually execute campaigns offering tokens, if they're a crypto, or cash rewards or incentives for new signups. However, these are opportunities for fraudsters and organized crime to strike. So we looked at this problem really closely and figured out the not so sexy job of securing identities and monitoring transactions for suspicious or fraudulent activities. Because for us to be inclusive, right, for AI to have this mass market appeal, I think we need to find that application that I mentioned earlier in terms of securing identities and securing transactions. So those are the first 2 points. I also have some comments on alternative credit scoring and other items, but I'll pause there first.
It's actually one of our biggest challenges in the Philippines, and I'll circle back on the need for alternative credit scoring, and I'll direct it to both you and Jerome. Rico, in terms of technological uptake, congratulations that Etiqa has actually led the way in terms of working closely together with insurtech companies. But I have noticed that the uptake for some of the major insurance companies has not been as fast as the banks. Why do you think that is so? And what do you think should be done to overcome this hesitancy? Rico?
Yeah. Thank you, Amor. We in Etiqa Philippines really would like to become more aggressive in terms of our ability to be able to go into insurtech and maybe whether through our own efforts of improving the way we do and use technology to solve some of our problems and issues, but at the same time to partner also with more aggressive technology providers, and just like what we have done with 𝐓𝐡𝐞, and we will continue to do so. However, going back to your question on how come there are a lot of insurance companies that maybe are still not as aggressive as they should be, there could be a couple of factors that I can see. One is it's really because, as what I have mentioned earlier in my presentation or in my introduction, you have to remember that the Philippines and the entire Asia is largely driven by agencies in terms of distributing their products. And therefore, the insurance companies need to be able to manage that conflict in distributing products, whether via a distribution channel like an agency or direct, maybe via an online website or an e-commerce website or a technology solutions platform. So I guess that's one. The second reason which we would like to continue to work with our regulator really is that's it. I mean, the regulations that we have right now should allow us to become more aggressive and be more open on the things that we can possibly do in the insurance space so that we can become more nimble in distributing our products. So basically, I guess those are the two things that I see why other insurance companies are not really as aggressive and as nimble when it comes into technology.
You know, many have been wondering what the roadmap of the forthcoming administration will be, and I direct my final question to all you three gentlemen. Let's play a game, and we'll call it the stop, start, and continue, right? What do you think should we stop, start, and continue when it comes to your specific fields in FinTech? Mike, would you like to start?
Wow, that's a tough question. But we want to start. Well, to me, I think we should be focusing more our FinTech first, right? Not really for the government, the FinTech industry, and on the underserved, right? I mean, FinTech has been empowering a lot of us in Metro Manila, a lot of us that has cellular access and super sophisticated smartphones, right? But that's not yet financial inclusion. Financial inclusion is really in the countryside where you have people who don't have these high-tech gadgets. Of course, that presupposes that infra will lead the way. And I think that's a ripe area for partnership between a lot of industry players. It can't be done by just one. Stop. Wow, this could be really controversial because I think we should stop, say, having a lot of preconceptions in society, right? I mean, if the Philippines really wants to be the center of innovation and digitalization, it should be more inclusive, not only in the financial sense of the word, but also in terms of empowering different sectors, right? Again, we miss out a lot on the countryside and people who are in the old economy, when in fact, innovation should be directed towards the so-called old economy, like agriculture and things like that. Continue. Of course, I'm a fan of build, not a fan of everything, but just build, right? And it points to my earlier bullet, whereby we need to do infrastructure first if we are to serve the underserved. So I tried to really behave myself. I hope that that suffices.
Thank you so much. So infra when it comes to technology, I suppose. Jerome, what should we, from an outsider looking in, and an honorary Filipino, what do you think should we stop, start, and continue? Directed to the new administration in the Philippines.
Okay, I think Mike already nailed it. It's pretty straightforward. So he kind of like, they're a bigger company, right? So they give the macro perspective. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the sector of employment, where I believe we can say a few things. So first of all, I'm going to start with stop. What I think generally, what we should stop to do is to consider and look at work the way that it was in the past. The pandemic has changed work forever. People are working, there are, play to earn, run to earn, move to earn, just to name a few from a Web3 space. Then there is gig economy, right? People are delivering stuff and they have a job. Basically, you can wake up in the morning, not having a job, registering on some platform, start to work and see your first income come in the evening. What an amazing time to be alive. This is a possibility to be digitally connected. And so we should stop thinking about work like, okay, I go to the office 9 to 5, I come back home, and then be completely disconnected. Now, you might say you like this or you dislike it, but it's a matter of fact that work is becoming super interconnected, and work is, like everything else in our life, really beginning to generate a plethora of data that is valuable for you as a user. And we should stop thinking of data as something that is potentially harmful or can only be used against us. Data is our friend. We can use it for us, and we should basically, to use a little bit of a term that comes from the Enlightenment, we should not be afraid to use our data for our own good. Now, basically the reverse that would be a start is to also from a corporate point of view, think about what we can actually achieve with alternative data, what we can do by opening up. And essentially what we mean, API really is a very cryptic word for a lot of people. It basically means it's the means for two machines to talk to each other, right? So we should be open, not only in our minds, and we should start actually to think what we can do in interconnectiveness. So we had this previous discussion for interoperability, which is again, like a word that is very important in blockchain. But I think previous to any consideration of what we can do in Web3 or blockchain is really like, how do we make actually our systems work with each other and have that data be delivered to the companies to make value for the people. And maintain basically, I mean, we're working really hard, as I'm sure all of you guys do, everybody here on the call. I think what we should continue to do is really continue to work on that, bleeding edge of innovation. I think I'm really, preaching to the choir here when I say, okay, continue to be agile, continue to, evangelize, be there at the forefront and say, hey, let's build new stuff and just continue. Don't give up, continue to not give up and talk to the people that you have to convince. There is this adoption curve. There's the early adopters that would like to try new stuff early in the game, identify them, talk to them, get going. They are going to be the big majority and the winners of this whole movement 10 years from now. And the majority and the laggards also, this is just how life is. So continue to do your thing. We'll all be super successful with that.
It's a movement indeed. Rico, what should we stop, start, and continue?
Okay, first, my message to the incoming government, just like our purpose in Etiqa Philippines, and I hope that our new government will really make the Philippines a better place. And I guess that's what we really want. But in terms of the start, stop, and continue message, it's really more maybe from where I sit and not necessarily to our incoming government. But the things that we need to start doing really are to look for technology solutions that will allow us to be able to distribute our products even faster and more efficiently. Second is in looking for technology solutions, we need to really find ways on how to serve our customers very well. So I'm always saying that it should be excellent customer experience. Third is we should also look for technology solutions that will allow us to become more efficient in the way we process our backroom, either as a company or as insurance companies. So those are the things that I believe we should be starting. In terms of stop, so I guess it's also in the mentality that we cannot sell insurance via online or via technology. So I think we are in that age where we can actually see that insurance, whether life or non-life, can be distributed by the use of technology. And things that we should continue, at least from our industry, is that we should continue to work with our regulators, the Insurance Commission, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the Department of Finance, and they are supportive of the insurance industry. And we hope to continue our working relationship with these government agencies so that we will be able to grow even more our industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rico. And from my end, what do we stop? The traditional way we're approaching work and education. The movement now is towards micro-certification and also at the same time, micro-credentials. We start, as Jerome said, living an API economy, and that's the only way we can truly be connected. And last but not the least, in terms of continue, is the progressive regulation in the Philippines, and of course, all of these continued cross-border collaboration. And like the Philippine team said, there's never been a better time to be a Filipino, to be ASEAN, and to be in FinTech. Maraming salamat po. And in behalf of the Philippine panel, good luck to everyone in this group and mabuhay. We turn it back to 𝐓𝐡𝐞. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amor. Thank you, Rico, Mike, and Jerome for joining us this afternoon and talking to us about the future of FinTech in Philippines. Wish all of you All the very best for the future, and thank you so much for enlightening the audience on what's coming up. Thank you so much for joining us.